Welcome to the Crossroads Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Hunter Grand, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm Fempreneur Extraordinaire, Tech Diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the Crossroads, where there's only one rule.
Be free to be you.
Oh, no, there might be some other rules with what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, no, you can be you. Just don't mean...
No, we try to be you with me.
You can be you.
So, y'all, we are talking about situationships. More specifically, situationships after 40, right? And talking about, I mean, neither one of us explicitly said it, but we're talking about should somebody be looking for or striving for a situationship at this age versus a relationship. To which I stated, and this is in pre-production talk, some of my best relationships have been situationships.
And I told him they aren't relationships.
But yeah. So she said,
you've just had good experience with situationships, which is fine. But they're not relationships.
I'm saying a situationship is a relationship. First of all, they both got ships, right? A situationship is a form of a relationship, right?
Yeah, they have ships.
It's got different parameters.
They have sailed away.
Well, I mean, I think it's like this. It's got different parameters or fewer parameters, right? Or boundaries. But I still think even in a situationship, there's still things that you agree to or not agree to. Like there's people who, are you in a situation? Are we exclusively in a situation? Like we're not together, but are we fooling with other people, right? Or it's when it's us, it's us. It's still a form of relationship. And I'm saying this, maybe with the exception of one, my situationships have been more fulfilling than my relationships.
And I can't argue with that because I wasn't involved in them. I'm saying at 40 plus, because I hope we're talking about things that happen maybe in your 20s and 30s. If we're talking specifically at 40 plus, it is just interesting to me that as big grown adults, many times at this point, there are children. Gosh, some people may have grandchildren, and we're still kind of tiptoeing around. And it just really depends, I guess, on the situation. But many times situationships wind up becoming a thing because one or more people don't want to be in a relationship or find that they can't be in a relationship or whatever the case may be. And so at this point, it just seems like, well, why would I add something complicated to my life rather than either work something out with this person if that's who I want to be with, or go be with someone else that can fully be with me and I can fully be with them. That's really the long and the short for me. I understand the value. It's not like I haven't experienced one, but I don't know that, if something were to happen in my life now where I was back on the market, that I'd be like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, but
let me sign up for this.
But the thing for me was the reason why those particular situationships that I'm referring to were so great is because they weren't complicated. It wasn't complicated with, this, and this rule. And we just were. And we showed up being what the other person needed for that period of time that we were together, right? Which is why it's like one of them, I think maybe a couple of years back, we finally decided to call each other exes, right? Because it was like we was in a whole relationship. We just didn't have a title.
And why? That is and not necessarily in your situation, because I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but I think that's the point. If there's merit in the situationship, what keeps, individuals from, it's so great. Oh, this was great. This was a great point in my life. You were there for me when I needed you. They were there for you then. It's like to realize that now and not then, and take the steps to move forward and secure that so that potentially that person can still be in our lives going forward. It just seems a little weird. And like I said, in the situations that I have been in, there are moments of, we had good times or real genuine feelings, but there was always something. And that something to me at 40 plus is not worth
Yeah.
good
But I think,
memories and fun
yeah, but
times.
I
It's
think a
like,
lot of
okay,
it,
it's not bad. It's not saying, because clearly you wouldn't even involve yourself with somebody if it was horrible. But it's just like, okay, that one thing that maybe you could do without the titles or the assurance that that person, was exclusive, which, I mean, I guess you don't have that either way it goes. But uh, the hopefully the assurance that that person is exclusive, like you don't have those things. Is that still at this age or beyond, is that not important?
it depends. So the thing is, it's all subjective. It depends on the person, right? And I don't think that there's this set of rules of what we should or shouldn't be doing. So, like we talked about in previous episodes, like one specifically when we talked the episode we were talking about adding rules and how come we don't operate in relationships the way we do in friendships, where a situationship is actually closer to doing that than not, right? It's like, hey, we're friends, we have this aspect of this friendship, like we're more than friends, less than boyfriend and girlfriend, right? If we're talking more or less, and so we talked about how adding this title starts to complicate things with different rules and expectations and stuff like that. It's like, I don't, in the situationship, I don't expect anything from you than what we're doing or what we're getting right now. There are people who at some point do want more, right? And I think that might be a whole other episode. Like, hey, that's something that, how do you have that conversation? And a lot of times it's, if you've agreed to this and this is what you need, but also people are coming from different circumstances. A lot of it, like one of it was, we were both getting out of relationships, right? That's how it started. It's like, hey, I don't have the capacity to sit here and, like she was coming out of a marriage, I'm coming out of a relationship. Neither one of them were great, right? And then here's this other person. And so it could have been just trauma bonding at first. And so much that we have in common, but it's like, but because I wasn't getting this type of intimacy or whatever in my relationship, and she was like, I wasn't getting it. And then we started being that for each other. Right now, was that ideal to go into a relationship and move forward from that? No, right? However, here's this aspect from another person that I strongly desire and or need, and here's this person that's providing it for me or each other. And so that's one thing. Something is, hey, we feel this way about each other, but our lives don't match up, right? Like you're a great person, I'm a great person. It's great when we're together. However, your circumstances and or life and mine don't necessarily match up. So while a relationship isn't ideal, here's us for now. I think it just all depends on what the person is agreeing to. You know what I mean? And so when we think about, we create these unspoken rules of what is a relationship or what it should be and what we should want and what we should aspire to. And I think that keeps a lot of people from connection. So I'm like, if you in a situationship, cool. Like, does it work for you? And I think without the social stigma, I venture to say a whole lot more people would be in situationships, right? Because a lot of people aren't getting into relationships because, oh, this person isn't making this kind of money, or this person doesn't have this degree, or this person got daddy issues, or this person whatever, right? But they like each other, they're attracted to one another. You know what I mean? But for whatever reason, it's like, oh, I don't want to be with this person. So it's like,
I
is
don't
it?
know.
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
because you are being with the person, right? Like it is not is I
which
think
is why
that's
I
the
say
part
it's
that is
also a relationship. I'm saying situationships are relationships. I think it's just a different type of relationship, and I think people aren't being honest about that.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that. And I think that is what makes it harder to accept, if you will, at this stage of life. Because I think, again, in our youth, you can be or feel more carefree. I have plenty of life left. Let's just see where this takes us. Blowing in the wind type situation. I like you so much that even though this isn't what I really want, I'm willing to take something over nothing. And we can't delude ourselves and think that, two people are coming to even in relationships, are coming to the table with the very same expectations and are happy with the output. There's compromise that happens every single day. So just because somebody says like, oh, I'm cool with this, doesn't mean that they are. And many times, you know, the women are not. Maybe this is something that, you know, more men are comfortable with. And some women are. I'm not saying that they aren't. But by and large, women are not ecstatic about being somebody that, you know, only you and I know we're together, or together-ish, or that we spend time together, and then, you know, we pop up 20 years down the line like, oh yeah, we used to kick it. Like, that's not a badge of honor, you know, really for anybody. But that's not, it doesn't feel good. Even if we're not talking about social stigma on the inside, it does not feel good to know that you're, you know, bonding with somebody. Many times you're in a physical relation, because that's just like, nobody is striving to be in a situationship just to come hold hands and go to the movies together.
I mean,
so what it really is, and we like, just call a spade, like, okay, this is the opportunity for me to smash and not have to deal with all these other things.
That's
because
not if you
didn't want to do it with the person and your circumstances didn't line up, why would we continue
because
spend our time together?
Because different people need different things at different points in their life. And it's not just this one size fits all, like, hey, you're single, I'm single, and we don't want to be in a relationship. What do you tell the person? So if we're talking post 40, how many people do we know are multiple divorcees, right? And there's a lot of people who are like, I'm not getting married again. You know what I'm saying? And
yes, and a lot of them are either they just date, or they are in long-term relationships,
or
they could be in situationships.
So what I'm saying, there's a lot of factors that contribute to somebody being in a situationship. Not everybody wants relationship or marriage. Not everybody is moving.
Of course not. I'm not saying it needs to be one way. I'm just saying these are outliers. You're not going to, and I look, let's poll the people. Right?
We can't, like,
if you would prefer a situationship and you are in a certain time of your life over being in a relationship, if it presents itself and you are looking for that. Of course, I'm not saying someone that is not looking for a relationship or marriage or long-term partnership, then that's misaligned. I would never say that. But I'm saying for someone that is their desire at this age, we're not interested in entertaining, by and large, because there's, again, always somebody that's going to say, I'll take it. But you're not interested in, my life doesn't line up with yours. You have extenuating circumstances, you have multiple divorces, your money is tied up in child support, and I'm okay with being on the side. Most people at this age are not interested in that if they're presented with a choice.
But more and more they are, but they're presenting differently, right? So how often do we keep seeing, like, let's take Shirley Ralph, right? Who is married, but
and rich, and not like you and me and us.
Just let me finish.
Not like us.
No, that's not where I'm going with that. What I'm saying is this: how many people are seeing her situation, right? And like, oh, like that would be great. You know what I mean?
I have no idea how many people would say that.
Yeah, but I'm saying, every time that I've seen like the video of her talking about it, so many people are, or like even before.
And I've seen the opposite, because that's why she keeps talking about it. Like, it may not work for you, but it works for us.
Hold on, yeah, we've seen the opposite, of course, which is what makes her story compelling, right? Because it's not the norm. But we've also seen people, even in jest, and there's always some truth in just talking about, oh yeah, I want to be with somebody, but we're gonna have a big house and we live on separate sides of the house, or separate bedroom. Like, people are talking about more and more space instead of like the intimacy and the togetherness that relationship and or marriage customarily brings, right? We talk about more and more like, oh, I would love a relationship like this. Like, it's more of, we're together, but we're not together. We're together, like we have this title and this commitment, but I don't want to be up with you all the time. I want to take separate trips. And we're talking more and more about separation than we ever have. And so
I think it depends on who your we is, because my we
as
doesn't do that.
as a society, we are seeing more of these conversations than we have before. I'm not saying more than not, but I'm saying it's becoming more common than it was before, right? So it's like I that's the part where I think people aren't really being honest. I think a lot of people won't admit to it because of the social stigma and because we have been indoctrinated on what we should want. How we've been told our whole lives, like, oh, do this, go to school, get a job, blah, 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 find somebody, get married, and be with this one person. And it should look like this. And if they're, if they're not doing this and they're not doing that, then this, and it's not working, right? All the stuff that we've been told, and the majority of marriages end in divorce, right? So what
This
we've
is
been
true, but I think we have to be careful with saying it's not working, right? Or saying, like, every day on social media, because I'm in a marriage group, there's somebody that's like, well, which year of the marriage is the hardest? Is it the first or the fifth? Like, we continue to hear and see these things, but there's not a lot of married couples that are speaking about what is working. I think it's just the loudest voice. It doesn't mean that it's the majority, and it might be the majority. Yes, we know what the divorce rates are, but there's still an overwhelmingly large population of people that are married and are married happily. Now, yeah, are we on social media, waving our flag and saying it? Maybe not. Every now and again, I try to go in and say something to kind of turn the tide. Of course, I have this platform to share experiences. And so again, everything is not roses all the time.
Okay,
but
so
it doesn't mean that it's...
Let me interrupt you real quick, because I want to ask you this question, because I think that point, I think, is super important. And I think, thinking about it right now, that could be a huge factor, because the majority of marriages end in divorce. And it's that phenomenon, and we've talked about it before. Like, when we were young, we were told everything not to do, but very few people could tell us what to do. And so in social media, dating and everything, it's all these conversations. It's the majority are what not to do, what to avoid, red flags, blah, 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 blah. Right. And the hurt and unhealed are the loudest. Right. And we want other people to join in, and like, oh, if they're not like something that happened to you, now you have to push to the masses, and as this warning signal. Right. And if they're not, and then it starts getting malignant and viral. So, which makes situationships more and more attractive.
Appealing. Yeah,
exactly. So, because the happy aren't loud, right? Maybe because they're busy being happy and keeping their stuff private, and maybe that's the secret. Who knows? But I think that's a huge factor. It's like, those are the people that would seem to make marriage, or the lack of situationships, more appealing, but that's not what we hear. So how much of that do you think plays into situationships, or the talks of separation, or like the Shirley Ralphs, we're married, but we live in different houses in different states, and we're perfectly happy, and da 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 da, versus the traditional quintessential marriage?
Oh yeah, I think it definitely plays a large part. If you are more prone to listen to outside voices, or the loudest voices, or the voices that you just see. I mean, social media permeates kind of every part of our lives, unless you have made a cognizant effort to stay off of it. So you see and hear these messages, and I won't even just put it on social, general media, right? Our television shows, movies, so on and so forth, don't necessarily promote traditional happy marriages. It's, life after, or this didn't work out. Talk shows, we had a kid, but we didn't, our relationship didn't make, like, it just is the loudest voice, the loudest viewpoint. And I believe if you are unwilling, and particularly if you have experienced any type of heartbreak or disappointment before, and you are unwilling to kind of see for yourself, if you will, then you might want to just, kind of lean into, well, I'll just do this, right? This is safer for me. Also, and we've talked about it before too, just depending on what you're willing to do and go through. Marriage is work. Relationships are work. Situationships are work, right? But the type of work, if you will, is just differs. Your payoff is going to be different. Your risk is definitely different. And so I think there is a very huge tie in what people are maybe accepting and or turning themselves toward, because they don't necessarily see great examples or hear about them overwhelmingly. You really just hear when people want to complain, right? For whatever reason. It might be, like you said, maybe people are trying to just keep their stuff quiet. Maybe they don't want you looking over in their yard and trying to, come tend to their grass. I don't know.
That's how we like. The thing is, the social media narrative. It's like social media is designed to keep you triggered and keep you angry. And because people are more likely to respond to negativity than positivity, we run positivity away, right? Because, okay, on either side, and I'm guilty because some of it just really is, right? The dudes that come in, fellas, y'all need to be doing. I'm like, man, stop pandering. Like, she still ain't gonna smash you, bro. And I'm talking about those who are genuinely trying to be positive, not the Derek Jacksons of the world, I just feel like he's profiting off pain, right? Because he never really says anything helpful. He's just repeating stuff that women have been through. Like, ladies, men have cheated. They sure do. We know. So what are you actually saying to help instead of just reminding them of something that's happened, right? And so, and then on the other side, when women are speaking about, what other women do, or here, like, blah, 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 blah. Here's a word. Here go another pick me. She's a pick me, right? And everything else. And so when someone is trying to, and again, the true pick-me's and the panderers aside, let's just talk those who are trying to be genuinely helpful. We still run them off, right? Like, you don't even know. Just because you got your husband, don't mean
you. Yep.
You're the outlier. You don't have the formula, even if it's working, right? Like, what you're doing is working for you, but now we want to focus on outliers, right?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, we live in this world where negative is norm, right? And it's like, we truly believe, as a society, that the majority of the men are cheaters, right? And the majority of the women, and let's get even more specific. Let's talk black men and black women. Like, black men don't have their stuff together. Black men ain't there for all this stuff. Which is not true, right? We take the outliers and make them speak for the whole. And then the women, women ain't accountable. They got attitudes. They don't listen. And we've all experienced all of the above.
Yeah.
Right? We've experienced it. But then it's when you move with the mindset that this is the norm, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest problems in dating, because again, a friend asked me, one person I was in a situationship, we was talking yesterday, and she was asking me, like, what's dating like? And I was like, it's annoying. It's super annoying because of the things that we've indoctrinated ourselves with, right? It's no longer just about the person. The ills of dating are typically everything that has nothing to do with the person. It's all the circumstance and the what they have and don't have and blah 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 blah. Like, who is the person? And you have to now, and I'll speak from the men's side, where you have to be eligible to be loved now, right? Like, you can't struggle and be eligible for love. You can't go on a dating site and be like, yeah, well, I'm only making such and such right now. You can't be in a transition. You can't be, unemployed. You can't be, still getting over a past relationship because the come healed, which I still say is a trauma response, right? It is someone who tells you come healed is not healed, right? Because you keep saying no, nobody want to deal, and then we only refer to unhealed when we're talking about men. Typically, somebody's unhealed son. Well, maybe stop hurting them. How about that part, right? What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all for watching the Crossroads podcast. Take 1 second, hit that subscribe button, and like the page so you can get alerts for any time we go live or drop new episodes. Hit that subscribe button. So much goes into it, right? Which leads us to, I would just much rather have this
right
than all this other stuff. You can't be positive. You can't be loved. And then, something that you said earlier, when in a situationship where, it's typically women that want more. Not true at all. A plethora of women would tell you he start catching feelings. Yeah, we catch feelings.
But does that mean that women don't want more just because there are women that catch feelings?
I'm speaking to the more. I'm contending that it's not necessarily more. I think just as many men begin to want more as women. And there was a but though. It's that part where you get shamed, men and women alike, when you start wanting more because this ain't what you agreed to. It's like, because you hear dudes often, man, she done caught feelings. Da-da-da. Dudes do too. And I've heard women.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But do we think it's more? We think that men do it more?
I didn't say that. I said just as much. But the point is,
you really think that?
Absolutely. We just don't always say it because of the stigma that comes with it, right? We got to be 10 toes down.
We really need. I don't know who's going to respond, but
you can know. But that's the point. That's the point. It's a hard point to prove because a lot of men won't admit it. Women will admit to it. Oh shit! But a lot of dudes won't, because when we start talking feelings, what does that come with? Oh, he look weak. Bro, you don't caught feelings. Like, you can't go to your group of homeboys and like, man, I want more, but because what do dudes do? A lot of dudes, man, quit being weak, quit being a little you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of men and their circles, they don't have healthy circles. We can, we talk about safe spaces with women, but a lot of dudes don't have a healthy circle of homeboys enough to be able to say, this is how I feel, man. What should I do? Quit being a little punk. It always comes back to some kind of male machismo type thing, right? And it prevents them from going to tell her, hey, I want more. I've caught feelings. I'm not in the same space that I was. You know what I mean? We talked about it. That happened to me, right? When I was dating an old girl, we was dating other people. It was kind of cool, blah, 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 blah. I started catching feelings when she wasn't on what I was on. I walked away. I wasn't about to sit there and like, okay, I'll just accept it. Nah, right? That's me. But also, I'm honest about how I feel. And if I'm in a situation to where I can't be with you because my feelings are stronger than what you're giving me, I walk away, right? And then there are some situations where like, oh man, I'll take what I can get because maybe I'm not as vested. I don't know. It's all situational. But I think you have to be strong enough to decide for yourself what you can and can't handle, what you can and can't accept, even if it changes. And I think that's the big thing with situationships, right? Is changes aren't always allowed, right? Like however it starts, that's how we're supposed to finish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And so I think that's probably what makes the situationships, and it doesn't always go that direction, but I think those particular ones are the ones that get complicated because it's like, how do I say something? And I had one like that. We talked about it later, but I'm like, you didn't say nothing. And she was like, well, would it have changed anything if I did? And I'm like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I love her to death. We're still great friends, but that's one of those complicated ones where it shifted. I didn't know. I thought we was good until we wasn't, and then years later you talk about it. But it's not perfect, but also relationships aren't either. And because we haven't broke the code on relationship and marriage, and really been able to glean from those who can tell us what to do, what has worked. And everything ain't gonna work for everybody, but
that's right? Because I can give you the cheat codes and toolkits for my house, And I mean, I don't have a lot of married friends, so then there's that. But just with the ones that I have, I could look across and be like, nope, that ain't gonna work for me, and this ain't gonna
But I'll say this: if someone can give you one thing, just one thing that will work, it's still better than the toolkit of the
Oh,
negative.
absolutely. But the question is, are you gonna do it? Right? Because
listen, you can't. You're not responsible for that. You ain't responsible for that. Which is
well,
why.
I believe
coaching
those
is such a big business. Coaching is a big business. Why?
Yes.
Because you're gonna create these courses and coach people on a whole bunch of stuff that they're not gonna do.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think that it goes back to what you said, right? Because it's not that people are not sharing, but it doesn't look glamorous all the time. It doesn't feel right. Something as simple as, making sure, for the most part, right? Like, I'm not chained to the stove, but more days out of the week than not, my husband does not have to worry about what am I going to eat today. Either I have asked him and I have made it happen, or I have figured out something and he gonna have to align. Right? But when he comes in the house, right, something's happening or there's a plan for something to happen. Oh boy, you can hear it now. Now, do I work? Yes. I work from home, so it allows me a different type of flexibility, but I'm working. I'm recording right now and rolling into a day of meetings after this, but we still have to eat. He gets up early and goes to work. To me, it is important that he doesn't have to think about unless he says, like, I want something specifically, that he doesn't have to think about that or worry about that. There's just certain things I'm like, what can I do to lighten his load? Because I can't take work. I'm not an engineer. There's nothing I can do. I can listen, but I can't help you with that. But let me see what I can do about everything else. So that's important to me. Yeah. Did I always have the rhythm? No, I'm gonna be honest about that too, because trying to figure out my work schedule, you might feel like, oh, I have more time than you do. And there was some late dinners and some oops and some, but it was important to me to figure that out. Now, you have people that are like, I'm not cooking.
That's his problem. He can right. And
so I can try to tell you.
But look how considering your partner is looked at as a negative by so many people. Even the things that he does, right? The things that he chooses to do for you to lighten your load. Or okay, let's just like take the dudes that pay all the bills, right? Like if he decided like, hey, I'm gonna take care of all the finances. You ain't got to worry about that part. Right now, I'm on record. I ain't coming to pay your bills unless I choose to, and especially like in a marriage, like I'm saying I'm against that as an expectation, right? Like you don't get to choose that for me, like because you're the man, you're supposed to. Nah, I'm not saying that I wouldn't or would never do it. I'm saying you don't get to choose that for me, right? No more than I can demand you cook every night. You see what I'm saying? But there's also that part. There's that, hey, this is what I do normally. There's that acknowledgement of it ain't going to be 100% of the time, which should be acceptable for anything. Right. And what we like to do is romanticize that kind of stuff. Like, oh, well, if she ain't cooking every night, then, but like, hey, everything ain't got to be absolute and all or nothing. What you've described is, hey, this is a role in our partnership that I own, just like there are roles in the partnership that this is what we agreed to. And it's the consider and then even the why behind it. It's like, hey, it's important to me that he doesn't have to worry about that because there's things that he does that you don't have to worry about. Right.
Amen.
And so it's like we get this all or nothing. Just like, okay, I'm sure there are times, especially like when he's out of town, the trash needs to be taken out. I know for a fact that ain't something you enjoy doing, right? And I know that you love when he comes home, so you don't have to do it. But it needs to be done. Sometimes he's in town. Are you gonna sit there and let the trash climb up the wall?
Right. No.
Right. Like, come on. Or hey, he didn't see the trash this particular time. hey babe, you mind, can you get this trash for me? Versus
or
why
cooking
I got
something now, stinking up the kitchen. Can
yeah.
you take this? Can you
Right,
take
versus
this out?
well, he should have seen that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to like make a schedule of the times I'm supposed to see the trash. Like you
Mm-hmm.
in there cooking, you might have been taking stuff out of wrappers or blah 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 and throwing
Yep.
stuff away. And now, like we I don't even know
Yeah.
the word. Right,
Yeah.
we start doing too much, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not. Is it too much? Like, hey, if I'm getting hungry and it's something that I don't know how to prepare, I can ask my woman, like, hey, you mind preparing me, something, blah, 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 blah. You also can be like, I'm tired. No,
Yeah. Can
I
we
thought
eat out this evening?
yeah, I
Can we
thought,
get takeout?
or if you don't feel like cooking, it's like, hey, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's, it's the, yes, you have a role, right, that you've accepted. And then there's the compromise. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think those are the things we think everything, or we move as if everything has to be absolute, right?
Right.
And
Right.
it's leaving us out here alone. So when I say it's not working, the things that we've been told and indoctrinated with, and who should do what, and blah 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 blah, right? Like, let's say there's a relationship where he's doing like he works and he still does majority of the cooking. Maybe he enjoys cooking. Maybe
Yeah.
he's just a better cook, right? He's like, look, I am going to take on this particular role, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. They'll, you could. She got you doing the cooking, huh?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And there are some people who will let that get in their head and affect them and blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden start causing a problem where one did not previously exist, because you let other people who don't have somebody convince you how your relationship should be going,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not the traditional whatever. So my thing is, if you are somebody who, like, I enjoy a woman who cooks, not because of some gender role, not because I love being loved in that way, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I My mother loves through cooking. She loves to cook for those she loves. That is something I'm used to. When I'm with my mother, I know she's going to cook. and I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I love it. She's somebody that fixes her children's plates, sons and daughters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's just me, like, hey son, I'm gonna cook your plate. Like when she visits, if I got to go to work, my mom will tell me, put your clothes out so I can iron them for you so that you can have them. It's not about because she's a woman and I'm her. No, this is how she loves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She'd call me while I'm at work. Let me know what time you're heading home so I can have some food warmed up. This is how she loves. And you can tell when she's mad at you or starting not to love you anymore because the quality of her cooking changes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So like when she was with my stepdad, my sister told me like, yeah, mom, she don't cook like she used to. It don't taste like it used to because her and her husband were going through things. Right?
Oh.
It's like I ain't cooking with the same love that I used to. I ain't spending the same
Mm-hmm.
time in the kitchen. So now that's different. And when her kids come home, oh, it's a spray. She was cooking yesterday because she had friends coming over, people she loves. This is how she loves. So even if you are a man, right? Like yes, I want to be with somebody who loves to cook, but I also love to cook at times. I love to cook for my friends. This is why you and I are friends to this day, because when we would hang out, I would cook. I like to sit back and watch somebody take the first bite, and act like I'm not watching, and then, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's things behind it, and it's okay, right? It's not about being subservient, but it's about how are we loving one another? How do we show up for one another? And
Mm-hmm.
then when we're not in a place in our life to be able to maybe facilitate a whole relationship,
Mm-hmm.
there have been situationships where this person is loving on me and I'm loving it, and I have somebody to love on, and maybe a relationship isn't in our future or the best thing for us, or circumstance don't allow that. This is something that I still desire and need at this point in my life. Like it for me, it helped me get through. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, and some people are like, oh, listen, whatever's going to help you. Now, I'll say this. Don't screw over a person or mess over a person trying to get something you want, even if it's not just sex, even if you can still use people for intimacy and blah, 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 blah. Right. So be careful how you handle people. Yes. You know what I mean? But also, I would say have the conversations as well. And I think both people, you got to be responsible, even in a situationship. If you're feeling something, say something, right? Even to the detriment of the situationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that is, I agree, but I just don't know how often it's practiced, right? Because it seems easy enough to talk about something when you feel it. And I've been more like, as we have these conversations, I sit and, really think and ponder. And then when I find myself in a, not in a situation, because that sounds real bad, but like in a similar circumstance, right? Like there's something that, I've been thinking about, and I'm like, oh, I want to bring this up in conversation, but I don't know how it's going to come out of me, right? I don't know how it's going to be received. I then don't know, like, otherwise everything is great. And so if I bring this up and I don't do it, in the best way, or it's not received in the best way, now, we off kilter. And other than that, everything was fine. And then you have to decide, is it even worth bringing up? Let me just continue to just do what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, I think that's the results orientation matters there. It's like at the end of that talk that you're talking about, right? What is it that you're desiring? Do you just want them to know how you feel? Is it you want more from them, like moving towards a relationship? Or is keeping the situationship intact more important? And you're like, I'm not going to say anything because I might lose them completely. Like,
right.
Those are all different things.
Right. And so, and you just never know, depending on who the person is and what the dynamic is. And so I think, yes, in a perfect world where we can express, or you may have one person that is expressive like that, and is expecting at least engagement, right? Honesty about, this is how I feel the same way, or I don't feel the same way, but I can still offer you this, but sometimes you're in a situationship because the other person is not really communicative, right? Like that might be one of the reasons why you haven't taken it all the way.
That's fair.
So, I think all of these things are good to have in your toolbox, but it really does matter who you are, who you're willing to be, and then who is on the other side of the line. And I would just say, thinking about this age, to me, it just feels like, we never had all the time, but I think you just become more aware that your time is or feels more precious. For some of us, we've already done this. I think that's really what it is for me. Like it would feel like, and it could be totally false, but my feeling would be I'm reverting back, right? I've made these steps in my own maturity and what I will and will not accept. My own changes, what it is that I'm willing to do and give and be for somebody. And if I found myself in a place that I have already experienced and didn't necessarily like to begin with, to me, that would not feel good. I acknowledge that that's not, everybody's situation. And some people, it's more comforting to be in this type of arrangement than it would be to risk, especially if they are divorced or maybe, if they've experienced loss in another way. Hi, roadies and road dogs. While you're enjoying this episode, don't forget to stop and subscribe to our Patreon. For just a few dollars a month, you'll have access to episodes 48 hours in advance, plus polls, live Q&A, and reaction videos. You'll also get access to a wonderful community. So go to the website on the screen or scan the QR code. And we can't wait to see you in our Patreon community. So I get that. I also, my personality type, right? Like, I don't do ambiguity well. So it's like, are we, aren't we? It's we, is we,
Yeah,
ain't.
is we, is
All of
we,
that. What is this?
Right.
So again, you know,
but that also speaks to your, I think that's the foundational part of your aversion. It's just who you are. Clarity is king in your life.
That's right.
What are we doing? Where's even when we shoot this? Where's the notes? What are we talking? How is this going? Like,
yes, I do not like
who you are.
Yeah, I know. Now, does it? I mean, can I get with whatever?
Sure,
Clearly,
but it's just not your it's not your foundation.
It is not. It is very uncomfortable, and I don't understand why. Like, when you have the choice to clarify, why do we want to be in the fog?
Right.
Like that to me.
But also shout out to y'all. Shout out to Dre today, because Chico, there was no notes to this show. We was actually just talking about it, and we was like, turn the camera.
Yeah.
And she wrote. So y'all, when she's telling you is not comfortable for her, that's not who. That's me. I'm more ad lib. And she get on my case like, look, I know that's what you do, but you know.
Well, and also to be fair on that, I write the descriptions. I write the notes. He doesn't go back and watch the episodes and try to remember what did we talk about. So it's easier for me to have a foundation first, so I could take that. But if I gotta try to like, we was talking about in this episode, we talked about some of everything. So now that's extra work on you, girl, to have to remember, go back and figure out, you know, things, because we have to be able to describe it to the audience. So some of that is, you know, my personality, but other parts is like, you know, let me try to make my job easier, because
but you know what also, but here's what's interesting though. So what you just did is what so many people fail to do in these relationships and or situationships, right? Like, you clearly gave a why. It's like, is it foundationally your personality? Yes. But there's like, this is why notes are important to me, because blah 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 blah, and that, right, it gives insight, it gives perspective, and while yes, somebody who you're with should just be able to consider you without like hey, this is something that I'm saying nice, that I need, right? but also it can help with the urgency of the consideration. Like, oh, I didn't understand that. I'm thinking you just being type A and blah 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 blah, right? It's like, oh dang, I never saw it that way, and you wouldn't see it that way because that's not, you know, you don't do the notes. You don't do the notes, you know what I'm saying? And so if we did that more often in our relationships, right, instead of, hey, I need you to do this, and then it's like, I don't see the importance of it, but that clear communication, like, hey, this is why this is important. Like, hey, can you mop this floor for me? Because I invited, you know what I'm saying, Dre and hashtag Boo over for dinner, you know, and drinks, and they're going to be here in an hour, and I'm still getting the bathroom together, so the bathroom ain't nasty while we got company. That's different than, okay, the floor needed to be mopped. I'll check it out like after the game.
Right, I'll do that after the game.
You know, so I think we operate on this, you should just do it, or you should just know, or just because I asked. Context and clarity help, right? Like communication on both sides. Not just communicating a need, but also when we add the why, or why it's important, or hey, don't do this, you know, or this makes me feel this way because this is something that's happened to me. And like, clear is kind. We say that, that shout out to Brene Brown, clear is kind. You know what I mean? And what I think I might have missed. I don't know. I think that was Brene Brown, but we're gonna roll with it.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. But you know, and we've talked before about being kind versus being nice, right? Kind ain't always nice, but be kind to your partner, because you ask them to do something, you don't provide context and clarity, they don't do it, or they don't do it in the time that you wanted them to do it, which is usually now. And now it's like, oh, it's important to me, so it should be important to you. That's not always real life. It's just not real life. I don't care about that. I do care about you, but when you help me care about what you care about by giving me context, clarity, and communication. You know what I mean? Is it always easy? No. Is it simple? I would like to think so, but maybe not.
Right.
But it's still necessary. You know what I mean? There's more steps that if we take, we could find more success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I just think overall, it just requires us to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Right. Yeah. Because, even saying that is like, yeah, it makes sense to provide a why, and, hopefully your, partner will comply. And also, why didn't you just do it? Because you care about me, and and this is who I am. If I know these things about you and I cater to what I know about you, why do I have to make me make sense to you when we're already, like, I should make sense to you because you chose me, right? If I didn't make sense to you, then we shouldn't be together, right? I know that's not how it actually goes. I'm just throwing this out, food for thought, right? Because look, I'll tell you, love my husband to death. There are certain things I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm like, I don't understand this. But if this is a preference for you, or this is something, because, we don't know everything that comes with our partner. Some things, this is what we grew up in the house. This is all I know. I eat my whatever this way, or I like these particular condiments. It might make you like almost throw up in your mouth. Like, why would you put this on this? But hey, that's what you want.
And then sometimes have to explain your whole life story. Yeah. Right.
You should have to explain your whole life story to me because you like plain hot dogs with ketchup and I want chili. Like, if that's what you want, then God bless.
I don't know. We probably gotta break up. Like, you ate a plain hot dog. That's it. Okay.
Sorry, I had a moment. But I'm just saying that it's a small example. But there are plenty of things that, when we meet individuals that we otherwise like or love, they have nuances. Some of them are small, some of them might be large. And when we say, I want to be with you, or I want you in my life, whether it's a relationship, a situationship, a friendship, those things kind of come with it. And they are going to rub up against some of the things that we like or don't like, or do or don't do. And, I think the whole part about being in a relationship is the balancing act of when I'm going to stand 10 toes on my square and when I'm going to just be like, okay, particularly when it has to do with you, right? Like, you're in a relationship and it's something that you I'm not going to fight about you, child. Like, is this what you like? Don't try to make me do it. But if this is what you like, you go ahead.
Yeah, you'll be surprised how many people sit there and try to make you want what they want you to want. Right.
Now, I will say, and hashtag Boo will tell you, like, I am, a fan of let's try it. And he's gotten better at that, right? Like, I'll be like, just like, try this. If you don't like it, I'm with it, right? But if you've never had something, you've never been introduced to it, you've never had something this way or that way, how do you know that you don't like it? Now some things he's like, okay, I'm gonna try, and some things he's still like, I don't want to try it. And that's fine too. But I think offering it to them, and of course, I'm talking about food in this example, but whatever the situation,
because the other thing is another episode.
Yeah.
Like this.
Whatever it can be, right? Like this might be,
like just try it. You might like it.
Anywho, I know we need to move into our final thoughts, and a lot has been said, and I think what I understand mostly from our conversation is that misalignment, I think, is the greater issue, right? So not situationships themselves, though I still personally, that's not my thing. It wouldn't be my choice at this time. And it wasn't my choice when
it was kind of gets in the way of that, but
yeah, it definitely does. But even when I was single and in a situationship, it wasn't my choice. It was, I won't say it wasn't my choice. It wasn't my first choice. Clearly it became a choice. But that it was not what I wanted. It is what I settled for. And so that is the place that I see this, right? I see this out of that place. So I recognize that as well. That's not, if two people come to the table and they say, this is what we both want, and they're both able to control their feelings and their emotions, and nobody gets above the other or goes further than the other. Like, I think that could be perfect for somebody. It's just not something I've experienced and or seen. Like, even with, friends that talk about it, I just have not. This is honestly one of the first times even Barzini has said, like, oh, these are the best things. I never heard that come out of his mouth. So this is news. If these are the best experiences that you've had, then I feel like, you're really blessed to have been aligned in a situationship. And maybe that wasn't a situationship, right? Like,
it wasn't.
So that, we're arguing something that's not what what these are actually like. The reason why I believe that they're even called that, right? Like, being in a situation is not generally a happy thing, right? Like, it's something that doesn't necessarily always mean negative either. But like, the whole point of labeling it something different than friendship and relationship lends itself to not necessarily being desirable. So maybe the examples that you gave were more of elevated friendships, or just a little step down from a committed, like a relationship, but maybe not a committed relationship. But situationships, as I have experienced them, people are lying to themselves or to one another, or both. One or the other may be hopeful for the situation changing, and many times it does not. Resentment starting to creep in for one or both. Generally one, right? Because it's the imbalance most of the time that causes the situation. If we both came to the table with the same, things going on in our lives, the same desires, we're in the same place, we're making the same money, we're going the same direction, generally people are like, hey, let's be together. Is it when we are off a little or a lot, then it's like, well, we can't really take it all the way, but we can do this thing. And so all I'm saying is, I think people are good and they're okay with it until they're not. And not everyone possesses the skill set or the readiness, the emotional maturity, pick one, pick all of them, to express that. And so then you're holding that on the inside. It doesn't feel good at all. And then ultimately, like, I don't know if we got into how your situationships ended, but ultimately they end. Now, I can assume yours ended amicably if you all are still talking on random Sunday, Easter, not even random. You still, you talking to somebody on Easter, it must be pretty, it must have ended pretty well. But sometimes, and particularly if you are friends first and then you go through this and it doesn't end well. Now I don't even have a friend. And so I just think, if these are things that you are choosing to do at whatever age, but particularly at this age, we do so with sound minds and not letting, our bodies lead the conversation, but really be thinking about what happens on the other side of this. If this doesn't progress to something else, or if it doesn't sustain as it is, then what? Particularly if you're trying to avoid the pitfalls of traditional relationships, marriages, so on and so forth. So that honesty piece, that communication is so important. But like I said, many people, they don't do it. And so that's where, it becomes a situation. So have at it. If it's for you, I wish you the very, very best. And, come back, be in the comments, push back, say like, nah, Trey, I've been in a situationship for 15 years. It's the best.
And some people have.
It's the best thing ever. We want to hear from you.
Right.
So mine failed.
Yeah.
So
thankfully. Well, but it was a situationship, so you can't say it failed. It ended. It's like, what's a successful situationship, right?
Well, you just said you had successful ones.
I say that they were the best. I mean, okay. Here's my final thoughts. It's the ambiguity of definitions that cause a lot of the stigma, right? I contend situationships are still relationships. I only said situationships because that's the societal term for people to understand the dynamic, right? Like more than friends, less than boyfriend and girlfriend, or husband and wife, whatever. But the parameters or the dynamic of it, they're not. I think we are conditioned to think like, oh, they just smashing. You know what I mean? And there are those. It's like that. Like some aren't even friends. It's like, hey, we just smashing, and that's how we tend to think of them. On average, we don't think of situationship as something that's also intimacy, connection, friendship, doing for one another, right? Some are still exclusive, like, hey, I'm not seeing other people, we're just not in a relationship. There's a lot of levels. Also, it's kind of like much like marriage, we look at somebody who's married as if they have arrived, when getting married is the starting line and not the finish line. And then there's a lot of people who said I do who aren't, right? They are not doing. Marriage doesn't mean happy. Being in a relationship doesn't mean committed. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot. There are so many people who are in relationships with titles that are still not fulfilled, and marriages as well. So, or there's people that's in relationships that are really just situationships. You know what I mean? By how they move. So it's kind of like we can call these things anything, but it's like, what is occurring in the interaction? Like, what is it? The substance of it, I think that's important. More important than that, I think what just happened in this episode is something that is missing from relationship, situationship, even a lot of marriages, right? Communication. So we started this conversation one way. Did we end completely on the same page? No, not necessarily, not in all areas, but there's a lot more understanding an hour later than there was, which is why we started the conversation, right? Because we were like, nah, like, that's like, nah, we gotta start. You see what I'm saying? And that happens. Listen, me and Dre been doing. That's why we have a podcast. We've been doing this for years. But also, I mean, there's been times when we're, and then also as we've gotten older, as we've matured, as we've learned one another even more, our conversations change, right? Yeah. We don't typically have conversations, and even if you notice, our dynamic on this podcast is not trying to convince one another of anything. We share perspectives. Yeah. And we eat the meat and spit out the bones. There's parts where it's like, oh, you know what? I see that. Okay, cool. And then there's parts where it's still hell no. Like, nah, you know what I mean? And I think we typically, in our relationships, our friendships, or just the way we move in society, specifically social media, we don't make it okay, right? You don't have to always agree. Things don't always have to look like the way you think it should look, right? And if something doesn't look the way you think it should look, it doesn't make it wrong. It makes it wrong for you, right? It's wrong for you, and that's okay. If you don't want that for you, cool. But you don't have to go on some missionary expedition to convince the rest of the world that it's also wrong, because they can be perfectly happy, and you can ruin lives doing that. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, discussion, like me and one of my boys hopped on the phone the other morning. He sent me a reel, and I responded like, "That's just stupid." He thought it was deep. I thought it was stupid. He's like, "Why is it stupid?" We was texting back, so I just called, and it was like a religion / politics / but like it was. So the more we talked, and then at the end of the conversation, he kind of broke down how he looked at the video. And I was like, you know what, bro, I didn't get that. What you said makes perfect sense. That's just not how I saw it. This is what I got from it. We watched the same video and we watched it from two different lenses, two different perspectives, and had two different outcomes. And neither of them were wrong. It was the lens by which we looked at it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I was like, if I look at it from the lens that you just explained, I absolutely, I rock with that perspective from that lens. But from this lens, I also rock with this. Two things can be true, right?
Oh yeah.
You can not be in a committed relationship, but a relationship nonetheless. Both things are true. Just because you're not together doesn't mean you're not together. Just because you're not committed doesn't mean you're not in a relationship, right? Or just say a ship, right? You're still in a ship. Friendship, relationship, situationship, right? It's still, so let's get rid of the prefixes, right? And deal with the ship, right? And what do you have to do to keep the ship afloat? Now, it's about, sometimes you work to keep the ship afloat. Sometimes you got to know when to jump ship. Sometimes you got to let the ship sink, right? Yeah. It's up to you to know what ship you're on or in and determine if it's the right ship at this point in your life. Also, ships change or ships shift, right? If your ship is shifting, you're right, you got to alert the captain. Like, hey, somebody got to navigate somebody. So there's that communication piece. And what that looks like is, hey, we've been doing this, but I'm beginning to feel something a little different, right? Also, it has to be okay. And we do this thing where when someone's emotions don't shift with yours, we start making them wrong for it. We start shaming them. Oh, they playing games. Like, oh, you just want to lead me on. No, I'm just actually rocking with what we agreed to. And both things are okay. It is okay if you caught feelings or lost feelings, right? Like, hey, I want more. You can't give it to me. I gotta go. Or hey, I was really feeling this and I'm not feeling this anymore. I gotta go. Or I was really feeling you. I'm not feeling you anymore. I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? It's that gotta go part that we really don't do a lot.
Yeah.
And we, hey, I'm feeling this. You're not feeling this, but I'm stay. And my feelings are gonna keep growing, and I'm gonna start resenting you, and I'm gonna become upset because I stayed. That's your fault. That's your fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you communicated, and they communicated, and you're not on the same page, whatever happens after that is you.
Absolutely.
Whether you stay or go. You know what I'm saying? I'm somebody, and I've been on both sides of this coin, but I am somebody like, listen, if you don't fool with me like that no more, I get it. You got to do what's best for you. I get it. Now, part of that used to be game because I know it was like, oh my God, he cares. Like, he's not trying to hold me into this.
Yeah, no, you really have to think about yourself.
You got to think about yourself. But I'm also being honest. Like, hey, I'd rather you stay because I benefit from this. But if you got to go, I get it. Right? 9 to 10.
I meant the person on the receiving end has to think about, because they benefit too in a way.
Right.
Right.
But
Because
now,
they want to be,
yeah,
near
but sometimes
you
they're
and
not
with you.
benefiting anymore, depending on where they've arrived in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes this isn't even a benefit anymore.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it's cool, but based on where I've now arrived in my life, what I want for my life,
Yeah.
this does not benefit that. Right. And so sometimes if you talk about sex, like, okay, sex is cool, but does it benefit my life? Right. It's what are we equating the benefit to? Is it the physical benefit? Is it the spiritual benefit, the emotional benefit, the relational benefit? Like, whatever your priority is at that point in your life, if that's not getting fed, you got to that's the thing that you have to make the decision on.
Yeah.
And does this person benefit you there? And they're not always going to, and that has to be okay. They might be on something else. It's like, hey, I'm perfectly fine. I'm like, so you don't have to get in this, oh, you this, that, and that, because you shifted. No, you got to make decisions based on your shift. That's okay.
Yeah.
And so it's these things where when we start saying, oh, well, you should and you have to, and at this age, you should want, there's no age where, and that's part of the lie that we've been told in our life, right? Because if we shift that from relationship to career and, oh, at 40 plus, you should be making this type of money. At 40 plus, you should own this. At 40 plus, right? Where the world is not conducive for a lot of that right now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Things change. So there's no one size fits all. There's no age. Age is just a construct that was created for us to have benchmarks in our life. And then somebody came around and said at this particular benchmark, this is what your life should look like. There's too many variables that, contain with that. Or you might have shifted. You might have had a great career and this career no longer fulfills you and you decide you want to change.
Yeah.
You're going to stay in that career because someone said you should, you have to, no, right? That's not how life works. So it's kind of like, be in tune with you, be honest with you, be loyal to you, right? Because if you're not, you're going to make decisions that serve other people and going to leave you empty, resentful, hurt, and a myriad of other things. Right? You can't always continue to make decisions for you based on what somebody else is going to feel. You can, like, sometimes a decision you make for you is going to hurt someone else. It doesn't mean you want it to, it doesn't mean you intended for it to, but sometimes you just know it is. So are you going to now destroy yourself or put yourself in a compromising position, be it physically, financially, emotionally, whatever, psychologically, to protect somebody else that you're not with, right? Or committed to? No, right? So the thing about situationships, as they're defined, is they have a shelf life. And this person represents this at this point in your life. And it doesn't also always mean that this person is going to be out of your life, but the interaction changes, or sometimes this person is going to be out of your life. Only you get to decide that. So yeah, it's there's a level of honesty that has to happen. Yes, you want to be honest with the other person, but first and foremost, you got to be honest with yourself and love yourself enough to make the decision that's going to be best for you as best you can. So with that, y'all, it's been a very spirited episode, but a great and necessary talk. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We know a lot of y'all are at this crossroads in your life right now. You know what I'm saying? But we implore y'all, listen, dive deep, pray, meditate, whatever you have to do to make the best decisions for you at this crossroads so you can decide the path, and a lot of times it's the one less traveled that you have to go down to get to where you want to be in your life. So we love y'all. We appreciate y'all for your support as always. And in closing, always remember,
be free to be you.
We'll see y'all next week.
Even in situationships.
This has been the Crossroads Podcast. And remember, be free to be you.